Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining this morning. My name is Briana Cowan and I'll be your presenter today. While we're waiting for a few people to join, I would love to know your names and where you're from, what your pub or hotel is called. There is a chat function you'll see off to the right-hand side, so feel free to pop some comments in there. I think we've got about 13 people joining us today, so also just do a quick audio check, so make sure everyone can hear me. Again, just pop something in the comment box. Sometimes you feel a bit funny having a one-way conversation, so hopefully everyone can hear me. Today's presentation is 2 hours. I will leave around 15 or 20 minutes at the end to open it up for any questions. So please, save your questions till the end. And if you like, you can pop them in the chat box as we're going, but I won't address them until the end. So who we got? Jamie. Hi, Jamie. Excellent. Jamie actually used you as an example in his presentation, so look out. It's a good example. We've got Mike and Krista, Brown Hill Hotel. Whereabouts is that, guys? I haven't heard of that one. Joel from Star Hotel in Sale. Excellent. Goodo. I'm sure everyone here has probably crossed paths in other seminars or meetings, no doubt. Hopefully we get a few people from far and wide on. We've got 6 so far. Ballarat. Goodo, yes. Very familiar with Ballarat, Mike. Although I haven't been there for some time. Hopefully you guys got a bit of sunshine there today, like Bendigo. Don't be shy to, we've got Tony and Jody. I'm probably going to say that wrong. Who-Rawley Hotel? Tell me if I've got that right. Again, I'm not familiar. Where is that? I'm based in Bendigo. Raining. Apparently it's supposed to rain in here too, in Bendigo today too, Mike. So I'm based in Bendigo. I'm born and bred Bendigo, so I can probably rattle off a few pubs and hotels in Bendigo that I frequent. But we've got a good pub and hotel scene here, which is good. All right, I'll wait. I've got 1 more minute. I'll see if anyone else is going to join. So hopefully everyone, I understand that everyone will have varying degrees of social media nous or even just digital nous. So there will be, this is sort of I'd say a media, probably an entry level actually, but happy to answer technical questions as they arise. Murderford, yep, Wangara and Murderford, know that area. Tony, thank you. So there's so much within social media itself, and even digital marketing. So today's presentation looks at Google, looks at website, and looks at social media. So hopefully, if you get 3 takeouts from today's session, then I'll be happy. Do encourage you to take notes as well. I'm unsure if you get a copy of this presentation, but maybe Francesca, he's from ASBAS, he might be able to answer in our chat box. We might get started anyway, guys. So I'm going to duck out of the chat room and flick over to the slides. So I will jump into the chat room from time to time. But as I said, we'll have 15 to 20 minutes at the end of today's session for any questions. I specialise in social media, so happy to, if I don't know a question to do with perhaps websites, then I will get an answer to you via email. Okay, so first of all, I'll just talk about the ASBAS digital solutions. So ASBAS is a program providing a series of workshops and also face-to-face one-on-one mentoring. So the mentoring itself, you get up to 4 hours and it's conducted via Zoom. I'm one of the mentors in the program, and I've probably coached, oh goodness me, well over 100 businesses, I reckon, across Victoria in the last 12 months. And I have to say that these sessions are absolute gold. You can really do a deep dive into your own marketing. The workshops are great as well, but I find that most businesses will get the most value out of the one-on-one session. So there is a link on the next slide, which I will share with you as to how you can access the one-on-one coaching, which is here. So each small business is eligible for up to 4 hours of mentoring. So it's $25 for 2 hours. Now, the eligibility requirements are you have to be for profit, which I would assume everyone here is, and you also have to have, I think it's under 20 employees. So yeah, that might be where there's a bit of, you'll have to work through that. So yeah, the link is at the bottom of this slide. And as I said, Jamie, I've actually coached Jamie from the Belmont. We did a 2-hour session a few weeks ago, and yeah, you just uncover a lot. You can actually go through a whole digital marketing plan in that 2 hours. So definitely encourage you to do that. It's value for money, absolute value for money, thanks to the federal government. Just a little bit about me. I no longer have blonde hair as I did in that photo. As I mentioned, Briana Cowan is my name. I have a business called Mingle Media based in Bendigo, specialising in all things social media. That was established in 2014, so it's been 6 years. And I have to say there's so many changes within this industry. Any given week, there's up to 30 changes across social media. So just when you think you sort of nailed one aspect, they'll go and change something. So it's an exciting industry to work in, and over the 6 years I've been in it, I have seen that more and more businesses have put value on it in terms of either outsourcing it to an agency or actually getting dedicated staff in to manage their social media rather than just sort of have it as an add-on job. And I've also seen many businesses shuffle their budgets around in terms of pulling budget from perhaps radio or press or TV even, and pouring that bucket of money into social media. So social media advertising, I'm not sure if anyone on here has tried it. Pop in the chat box if you have, but it's absolute value for money and the best bang for your buck that you can get in terms of advertising. So yeah, worth exploring if you haven't looked at that. And on a personal note, myself, I have a weakness for donuts and servo dimmies, and I probably have sampled dimmies in all of your towns, no doubt, the service station. Okay, so today's session, we've got a fair bit to cover. We always do these sessions. I do talk fairly quick, so yeah, hopefully everyone can keep up. So the first thing we're going to cover off is strategies to build an online presence. So this really is our foundation to building a digital strategy rather than just sort of, having a crack. We're actually going to do step by step of how to build that digital strategy. How to register with Google My Business. If that's something you haven't done, I want everyone to have done that by the end of today. It's a free tool to use, and I'll go through the benefits of that in the presentation. Ideas for creating a simple website or landing page. I assume that most of you would have a website, so perhaps maybe looking at maybe enhancing that website or changing that website or simplifying it. Then we're going to look at social media platforms, so specifically Facebook and Instagram, which seem to be very popular in the pub and hotel industry. I'm going to give you some examples of hotels and pubs succeeding with social media. So Jamie, that's where I'll give you a call out. And then we're going to look at developing content. So this is really getting into the content that you would then publish onto your social media. And that's one of the most popular questions I get asked is, what do I post? So I'll go through, I think we've got about 9 different content pillars that you will be able to leverage off to use for your own social media. And of course, everyone is in the same industry. Even if you're a pub in the same town, your main point of difference is always going to be your personality. Okay, yes, you're probably all going to serve beer. You've all got great food, hopefully, and good atmosphere, but it all comes down to what is your pub's personality? What's your hotel's personality? So we'll break that down. And then I'm going to give you an example of a campaign that was done in Bendigo and how you can take that campaign and do something similar in your hometown. Okay, so what is a digital strategy? So basically it's digital is a umbrella term used to capture a broad range of digital platforms, okay, for marketing. So look at Google, looking at social media, look at Google Ads, digital signage, etc. So more and more often we see businesses, and I'm even talking corporate businesses, that are moving away from those traditional forms of media. And I'm not saying that there's no place for those traditional forms. There's absolutely still a need for press, radio, TV, but they're pulling away some of those budgets and dipping them more into the digital space. So strategy, obviously we need a strategy to map out your plan in terms of what you're going to execute for your marketing plan. And then looking at different digital strategies. So looking at placing your marketing and advertising on different digital platforms, okay? So the first one is developing a digital strategy. Now, this is a really easy step-by-step guide, 5-step process that anyone could walk away from today and execute. So the first thing you need to look at is what are your business goals? And I'll give you some examples on the next slide. I'll break down each of these 5 steps. So first one, identifying your business goals, obviously super important. Doing your market research. So this is often a step that gets brushed over. But I know certainly if I'm taking on a new client and perhaps they're in an industry that I'm not super familiar with, I always make sure I do my market research online, looking at other businesses, perhaps in a different country or perhaps in a different state, just to get a feel for what's working for them. The next one is selecting the right platforms. One thing I will call out is, there's lots of different social media platforms that you can use. Don't spread yourself too thinly, okay? So don't be on every single social media platform just because you feel like you have to. And I understand that your target market is quite varied in your industry. So you're looking at from 18-year-olds up to probably 80-year-olds. So you've got all walks of life, and all of those walks of life are on different types of platforms. But you really need to sort of nail that target market and then look at where they're spending their time on. And definitely with my own experience within the hotel and hospitality industry, Instagram is a huge platform, and Facebook that's really a given. So if you're not on those 2 platforms, I would say absolutely get on those 2 platforms by the end of today. The next one is implementing and being consistent. So that comes down to your content strategy that you're going to be driving across social media. That's also going to match up with your website too, and any Google ads that you may be doing. And then the beauty of the digital marketing is it's so measurable. The data that you can get from Facebook ads is incredible, and you can use that data to then execute another campaign. So always be testing. And I know and I appreciate that we are all time poor, but it is important to perhaps check in once a month and look at those analytics that social media, Google provide for you, so you can get some real gems out of that. So starting off with developing a digital strategy. Okay, so I've just jotted down some different types of business goals that you may have. And I've worked with pubs in Bendigo before, and this is pre-COVID. I know one of the pubs, they had a sort of slower Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night trade. And so we really looked at driving a strategy and campaign geared towards those 3 nights. Thankfully, one good thing that has come out of COVID is now this hotel is pretty much busy every night of the week because people are wanting to get out because they haven't been able to have that luxury over the last, since sort of March through to September. So really looking at identifying those business goals. So I've just jotted down a couple, or how many is that, 5, that you may want to consider. And again, I don't know how everyone's trade is going at the moment, and I can only really go on. There's a couple of pubs I manage in Bendigo, and I know that they're definitely kicking goals at the moment, and that's probably more of an organic thing. Obviously, yes, they're still promoting their pub on social media, but it's probably they've seen more of an organic thing happening because people are happy to get out. So make some really measurable goals. Okay, especially when typically my understanding that January can be a little bit slower, especially in regional Victoria, because everyone goes down to the beach. So perhaps you might look towards setting some goals up for January, when I know December's probably a crazy busy month for everyone, which is great. But then my understanding is it does slow down a bit in Jan. So perhaps looking at what you could do for January. So the next step is doing your market research. So absolutely look at other pubs and hotels. And I do this all the time. As I said, a new industry that I've picked up. I've actually picked up recently a winery in Heathcote, and I've never managed a winery before. Obviously, I'm familiar with wineries, drink wine myself. But So I've gone and looked up at different wineries interstate and what they're doing that are sort of have a similar setup to them. So look at what other competitors. There's a great feature on Facebook. If you look up your insights on your business page, jot this down. So go to your insights tab. Now you'll notice that Facebook actually has a new layout on your desktop. The insights tab now sits on the left-hand side. It's about halfway down, I think. It's the Insights tab. Click on that. The first page you'll go to in your Insights tab is Overview. If you scroll down to that page, you'll see a little feature which enables you to watch other Facebook pages. All right, so obviously you would watch other pubs and hotels, perhaps that are in your town or perhaps that are, out of town as well, just to get an idea of what they're posting and what's performing well. So have a look at that. Have a look at their website as well. Have a look at other pubs' website. Are they easy to navigate? If you are a consumer, are they easy to make bookings if they've got that set up? Look at what social media platforms they're using, but go one step further and look at the engagement. So when I say engagement, look at how many likes, comments, shares they're getting on their Instagram or on their Facebook page. Look at if they're being consistent as well. And because I'm obviously in the industry, I can always sort of uncover people's strategy as soon as I have a look at a few different posts. So have a look at if you can see what strategy different pubs or hotels are using. So what content are they posting? Is it funny? Is it serious? Is it all food? Is it all drinks? You'll soon start to see a pattern if they have a strategy in place. And I will give you an example of that further down the presentation. So absolutely do that. Get your e-stalk on, I call it. The next one is selecting the right platform. So as I mentioned before, don't spread yourself too thinly. I would say as a given, a website, Google My Business, which we'll talk about, Facebook, absolutely, and also Instagram. All right, so Instagram is more typically the 18 to 35-year-olds. So definitely pub and hotel punters. So, and Instagram is very visual, which we will go and talk about that. If you're new to the social media world, my recommendation is to start with one platform. Start with one, nail that, build your community on that particular platform, and then spread over to another platform. So, because it can be quite overwhelming, and I think the biggest thing that biggest mistake people make is they underestimate the time and resources they need to put into their social media in order to succeed. All right, so you can always tell, like, if you just slap up a post for the sake of it versus a week worth of content that you've scheduled in. So yeah, have a look at your platforms. As I said, social media, Facebook and Instagram would be my recommendations for your industry. So another really valuable exercise to do is to create a customer persona. Now, I understand, as I said, your customer range is at 18 to goodness knows how old. So I've given you an example of just creating one customer. Okay, so I've named her, I've broken her down, how old she is, she's a professional. You could be able to read that slide there. So that will really help you set the tone for when you're trying to reach out to that particular target market. Now, I used to work for Telstra, and obviously Telstra reaches 13-year-olds up to 100-year-olds. So in Telstra, we had 5 different market segmentations. So there was 5 different groups of our consumers that we would market to. So I would say in your industry, you would have probably, you could have up to 5 as well. But it's a really good exercise to do. And on the flip side of that, I would also suggest doing it for your own pub/hotel. All right. So really identify what your pub or hotel is as a brand or as a person. And we talk about that further on, but that will help you set the tone and the voice for your social media. And that's what really connects people to your brand. Okay, if you're connecting with them on a human level or on a personal level, that's when you'll start getting that engagement on your social media. All right, so yeah, take some time out. You might even do it with your staff. It's a good exercise to sit down with your staff in a staff meeting and get them to create a persona for the business and also for your target market. And that also gives them buy-in for your digital strategy as well. I always say use people power. Okay, so everyone on today's presentation would have staff. So make sure your staff are on board so that when they see your post, that they're sharing it to their friends or they're commenting and tagging their friends as well. So step 4 is to implement your strategy and to be consistent. Okay, so after you have created your persona of your business and your target markets, is then really find your voice. So I sort of covered that in the previous slide, but really work out, are you going to be serious? Are you that, are you high class? Are you a bit fun, bit of banter? So really, and I've got some really good examples further along, but it's really important to set that tone and then to be consistent with that tone. Okay, so consistency is key. Don't sort of get one out of the bag where you've got a different tone or different piece of content. So people will go to your social media because they know what to expect. All right, so they go to your page because they know that they'll get a giggle out of something, or that every Friday you do a pub joke, or every Sunday night you post whatever, a meme or something. So be consistent. And I said I'll give you some great examples. And the other thing to do is to really engage with your customers. So be social on social media. It's one thing to have this awesome strategy and to execute it and to do your posts, but the next step is to then re-engage with your customers or your, we'll call them customers, patrons, when they're engaging with your social media posts. And the other element of that is to also be engaging with them when they're doing Google reviews. So, which we'll talk about further. But yeah, if someone leaves you a Google review, good, bad, or otherwise, super important to re-engage with them by saying, thanks, that's great, thanks for your feedback. Another question I get asked is about reviews. So in particular, Facebook reviews. I know some businesses in Bendigo just flat out don't want reviews because they're scared of what people will say. So my theory on this is to be completely transparent. All right. So, and I've seen it with a couple of businesses. They have had bad feedback. So in one case, it was there was a restaurant in Bendigo and they had a bad, I think it was on Facebook review. So I just sort of gave the business owner a heads up, and he said, yeah, we remember this customer. There's nothing we could have done to please her, Anyway, long story short, the best way to handle those irate customers in a digital space is to acknowledge their review. So, thank you for your feedback. We'd like to discuss this further. Can you please contact on, and then leave your phone number. So take it offline. There's nothing worse than having a screaming match online with a customer. And 9 times out of 10, you won't hear from that person. Okay. So if you do hear from that person, great. That's great. You can have a conversation over the phone. The next step in that series is to then loop back on your own social media, wherever the review was left, and to say, thanks for your time. I'm glad we got to, chat about this and resolve this issue. So if anyone goes to your page and sees that, they can say, great customer service. Someone was upset. They've taken it offline, resolved it, and then, they can see that the loop has closed. So yes, you're never going to please everyone. I totally get that. But I think that having great reviews on there will outweigh the trolls even. I think people more and more these days, people can see through the trolls. Now, the other thing to do is if you're, and again, this has happened to a client, if someone mentions your business in one of those Facebook groups, I know Ballarat's got one, Bendigo's got one. They're the Facebook groups that are Bendigo Have Your Say or Bendigo Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down. So if someone mentions you in a bad way, mentioning something about your service or your food, whatever it may be, again, get use your people power and get them to respond by just saying, oh, you know, I go to the Belmont once a week and their food is great. Okay, so just get them in. You're not asking them to attack the person that wrote the bad comment, but you're just getting people to just, you know, give your business a bit of love. So that's perfectly fine to do that. One way to just sort of keep an eye on your brand online is just to do a search. So just if you're on Facebook, just type in your business name, see if anyone has mentioned your business name. You might do it once a month or once a week. Same with Instagram, just type in your business name and see, also type in your hashtag as well. You will get a notification if somebody tags you anyway. So just keep an eye on your brand online. And the next part of the strategy is to measure and evaluate. Okay, so look at a couple of things. So first of all, I'm a big fan of, you know, getting followers is fantastic, like that's great, but I would rather see businesses' revenue increase via their social media. Okay, so look at what your output is producing. So are you growing your following, which obviously you want to be growing your following. Is the number of bookings increasing? Do you have year-on-year growth? Okay, so obviously you'd measure that from a financial point of view, but then on the digital space, you can look at if you're getting more followers, if you're getting more followers in the demographic that you're targeting, also if you're getting more followers in the town that you're actually in, or if you're a venue that is in a tourist town, are you getting more followers from people from out of town? So again, dive into the analytics via the Insights tab on Facebook. Instagram also have insights provided you're set up as a business account. A little hack to do on Facebook is when people are liking your post on your business page, you can go in and look at the comments and then click on the people that have liked your post, and you can invite them to actually like your page if they haven't already. So you can do that on desktop or you can do that on mobile phone. So as a bit of a best practice, every time you do a post, go in and invite people to like your page. So you can increase your likers pretty easily that way. Okay, so now we go on to Google My Business. So it used to be former Google Places. So Google My Business, if you type in your business name on Google, and happy if anyone wants to jump on and do it now, if you jump into Google, type your business name. On the screen, you'll see on the right hand side, it's got haze away asbestos removal. So obviously someone's typed that up and that's what's come up. So if you're already on Google My Business, that's where you will be shown up in that right hand side. As you can see on that right hand side, people can see your address. They can see your Google reviews. So at the top here, this business has had 31 5-star reviews. They can see where you're based. You can put photos up there as well. So you can control all this once you've set up a Google account, and the next slides will show that. So this is only it's super easy to use and it's free to use as well. So I had a client recently, they weren't on it. They set it up last week. And so now when you Google them, they pop up. Everything you need to know about their business is there. So it's almost like I've seen sort of the changes in Google Places to Google My Business. Google My Business is almost like another social media platform. They've got a messenger feature in there now as well. So really powerful place to encourage your customers to write Google reviews. And now that I know, I suppose I can see the importance of Google reviews for clients, I always make sure that if I go to somewhere, I now write them a Google review if I had a good experience. And I actually went to the piano bar in Bendigo. We've got a new piano bar. I know there's one in Ballarat too. So I went there on Friday night and wrote them a Google review. I think I was the first one to do a Google review. But yeah, Google reviews go a long way. So it's so important to have your Google My Business account set up, which I will go on to the next slide. So why do it? Well, A, because it's free. B, because it's good for SEO ranking. So SEO is search engine optimization, which it means that your business will be easier for people to find. All right, so if people are coming to, say, Ballarat for a weekend and they want to find a pub, if they're typing in Ballarat pub and you're on Google My Business, that will help you go up the Google search. Reviews, as I mentioned before, can help boost business. And I did have an example of this the other day. A customer I think they had like 10 5-star reviews. And they got another review off a customer, and it's their review said, I was skeptical about your business because I could only see 5-star reviews, but having used your services, I can now see why people have given you 5 stars. So yeah, a great way. Like people look at Google reviews. Okay, so it displays on the first page. So even if your website doesn't, all right. So if people are typing your pub up, and there's other similar pubs with similar names, your business will always pop up that right-hand side. Okay, your competitors are on it. I'll guarantee they're on it, and yeah, it gives you GPS directions to your location. Okay, so how to sign up. Here is a step-by-step guide of how to sign up, and I'm just going to jump in the chat box because I did ask Francesca if we do get this presentation. So can you just answer that for me, Francesca? That would be great. So if not, take a screenshot. Just grab your phone and take a screenshot of this slide. This is how to get on Google My Business. As I said, super easy. It only takes takes a couple of minutes, but then Google will actually send you a physical postcard to your physical address. So you get a postcard with a code on it, pop that code in, and that basically sets up your Google My Business. So I think the turnaround time, it's pretty quick. It might be maybe 5 business days. So very quick. So super easy to set up. And I'm just going to click over here. So here's my Google listing, and here's what's included. So pop your address in, okay? Pop your hours in, again, really important for hotels and pubs. Pop in your about section, okay? So people can get a bit of a feel for what your business is about, or perhaps what the vibe or atmosphere is about. Obviously a place for reviews, so definitely encourage people to write reviews. I've seen recently, actually, because you have to book into pubs before you go, there was a winery, and I can't remember what, Bennett's Winery down at Port Arlington, and their booking system, so once you've booked in with them, you get an email to say, yep, confirmation. Once you've been to their venue, the next day you get an automated email encouraging you to write a review. Okay, which again, Miss Google Review over here, I got on there and wrote a review. So there's lots of different softwares that will enable that feature, and I'm sure that everyone is on board with, you know, different software to use for bookings that marry up with your point of sale. But I would be very confident in saying that your software has a review section that will automatically send people who have been to your venue reviews. So I would encourage you to explore that if you haven't already. You can also put photos up there. So again, non-negotiable, put photos up in your Google review. Your map is automatically populated once you've got your address in, and then you've also got a link to your website. And I didn't put their phone number. So they're your absolutely non-negotiables. You want to have as much information in there as possible. I know if I'm looking up a venue, I go straight to Facebook these days, but I know there's still lots of people out there that will go to their Safari app on their smartphone and they'll search up a venue. So yeah, again, important to have as much information as possible on there. So once you've set up, you've got your Google account, and then down this left-hand side of your Google My Business, so once you're in there, you can start navigating around. So again, my opinion of Google My Business is it's gearing more towards a social media platform. So you see you can put a post up, you can change information, you've got insights there. You can look at your reviews. So always go and look at your reviews and reply to people. If people have listed a review on Google or TripAdvisor is another popular one in your industry, is go on and thank people. Okay, I love when I see hotels or motels, resorts, if I'm doing some market research and for my own personal benefit, and I see that someone's written them a review and they've written something back to them, I think that's great customer service. So people can contact you via message on Google My Business. You can add photos, product, services. So super easy menu to navigate around. And I popped in here, update photos seasonally. So if you've got, you know, a summer vibey pub, then put up be summer photos, and then, you know, flip it back to your winter. It might be open fire. So keep those photos relevant if you are seasonal. Here's another screenshot of, and sorry, it's a little bit blurry, of your Google account. So again, this is the main, so the one I showed you previously was a left-hand side menu. This is a middle menu. This is where you can do Google Ads. Okay, so most of the time when you set up a Google account, you get a credit. That one there's $100 free credit. So I encourage you to use that. But yeah, again, really easy to navigate around, very user-friendly. The other thing too to download is there is a Google My Business app. All right, so if you're on the fly and, you know, or if you're taking a break and still want to update things as you're not being tied to your computer, then yeah, use the app, Google My Business app, free to download and really easy to navigate around also. I'm just going to jump in the chat box to see if there's been any questions. We've got Luke has joined from Cumberland Hotel, Castlemaine. G'day, Luke. Thanks for joining. No other questions here, which is good. All right, I'll crack on. Okay, so the next digital tool for your business is a website. Now, again, I'm going to assume that everyone has a website, but it might be time to review that website, okay? Especially if you're up your social media game, but you haven't touched your website for a while. You want to make sure that those two actually marry up and that the tone you're using on your social media is similar to the tone that you're using on your website. Especially, you know, since COVID, I've seen more and more pubs and hotels set up their online bookings through their website and also online ordering too. So map out what you want for your website. So what features do you want? Do you just want a landing page, or do you want that full kit and caboodle where people can book, they can order, all that sort of jazz, or there's an inquiry form. So map it out. Less is more. Just remember that in a website, don't make it too busy. Also make it mobile friendly. All right. So 90% of the users will be on their mobile phone. So you want to make sure it's a pleasant experience for people on their mobile phones. So you might have this cracking website on desktop, but it might be rubbish on your mobile phone. So make sure you nail the mobile phone view of your website. Less is more, as I mentioned. Don't make your website text heavy. All right, so people want to see photos, okay, and they don't want to read a whole big blurb. The only area I'd recommend doing a lot of text is your about section, okay? So your about section is super important because especially if you've got history, there's a pub in Bendigo that's over 100 years old. I think it is, yeah, 100 years old, and they've got some great heritage information on their website. And yeah, people will find that information interesting. People eat with their eyes, so include professional food images. If you don't have the capital to invest in a professional photographer, which, I mean, they're not that dear. I've got onto a great guy in Bendigo, Jamie. He's only like $200, I think, and his turnaround time is pretty good. So yeah, food photography is a whole other thing from, you know, commercial or families or babies or pet photography. It is a whole other skill set. So just make sure if you are getting a professional food photographer in, that they do have that experience. Failing that, it's okay to still use a smartphone. I've taken photos for hotels in Bendigo just with my smartphone, and the images have come up really good. Again, get some inspiration. You might look at someone's social media, you might look at a bar or a pub or hotel in Sydney and look at what photos they've got, and then set up something similar. Take it from your smartphone. As I mentioned, your about section is where you want to beef up. So put as much in there as possible. Photos, again, tell your story in this section. It's I've actually went to a website the other day. It wasn't in your industry, but it was in the fashion industry, and they've only been around for 4 years, but they broke down each year. So they had a section on each year, what they achieved in each year, what photos they had from that year, and it was great. It tied it in beautifully, and you felt like you understood their journey from the get-go. So tell your story, especially, you know, given that I assume that most of your businesses are family run. Okay, so that's, you know, people connect to that family connection. If you are doing your website alone, WordPress is very user friendly. And if you are going to outsource any changes or updating your website or a brand new website, make sure when you do outsource it to someone local that you have examples, okay? It makes their job easier and it makes you on the same page as them too. So I'm all for outsourcing. I even outsource my own website. Websites aren't my thing to design. They take, you know, you've got to have graphic design, a bit of coding in there as well. So I outsourced my own website, but knew exactly what I wanted for it. So have a look at your website. Get somebody else to look at your website as well. So don't just have your set of eyes on there. Maybe ask one of your locals to jump on their mobile phone, look at your website. Is it easy to navigate around? What would they suggest? Okay, so I'm sure everyone here's got some very loyal locals, so get them involved in the process too. There's actually one of the pubs I look after in Bendigo. One of their locals uses a bit of a slogan when they're at the pub, and so we now use that on their social media, posts. Okay, so now we're going to get into social media. So why social media? And it's almost like you need to be on social media these days, okay? It's not because you want to, you actually need to. So social media definitely has a role to play in your marketing, and I would say that a lot of the pubs in Bendigo only use social media, okay? So every now and then I hear them on radio, but their main modality is social media. Google is listening, so SEO, so your posts on social media also help with your Google ranking, okay? So that's another important thing to note. Direct two-way access to customers. Don't worry about key customers, to any customers. So social media is the only form of advertising you can have a two-way conversation with your customer, all right, which is like what a gift that is. You can have it in a private setting or you can have it in a public setting. And obviously you can make bookings. Like I know with the pubs I manage, they have probably 3 or 4 direct messages a day for bookings, or now functions are sort of the booking functions for next year. So having that contact is so important. And, you know, we can't be on social media 24/7. I get that. Trust me, I know. So in the next few slides, I'll give you some strategies of how to handle those customer inquiries as they're coming in constantly, you know, at all hours of the day. It is part of our life. On average, I think on average, Australians are checking their phone 17 times a day. I'll have to double check that fact. But I know in America, on average, they're spending 4 hours a day on social media. Check your screen time. If you've got a smartphone, you normally get that horrible alert on a Sunday about what your average screen time is a day. So if you've got, teenage kids, I would imagine their screen time would be quite high. But people are using social media as a tool for communication. All right, it's marketing, it's communication, it's customer service. All right, it is easier than you think, so don't be afraid of it. And, you know, I always say to people, if you have made a mistake, you can always correct it. Okay, if you've done a typo, and we are only human, no matter how many times you check over something, if there's a typo there and it goes out, you can always go back and check it. You can always delete stuff. Unlike, you know, a newspaper, if you put an ad out, it's got a typo in, it's there in black and white. Your competitors are using it, and can you afford not to? And I would say no. So I'm going to assume that most people are on social media. So let's look at Facebook for starters. Okay, so content for Facebook must be relevant to audience and business. So I would say 100% in your audience, you've got to make sure the content you're publishing on any platform, whether it be Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, has to be relevant to your audience and obviously business. But your audience are your cheerleaders. That's your community. Okay, they're the ones that are going to tell you if your content is good or not. And another question I get asked all the time: how do I know if, like, what's your definition of good content? And quite simply, your audience will tell you. All right, if you know, and I've had it before. You spend 2 hours creating a post, put it out there, and you hear crickets. And you might spend 10 minutes putting a post out, and then it goes off. So be guided by your audience, all right, and you'll know where that sweet spot is. So sharing videos and photos. Videos are more engaging, and I'll give you, again, some examples of how you can use videos. Videos aren't for everyone, I understand that, but if you can get video of, of a Saturday night at your venue, or you might get a video of, the chef cooking, whatever it may be, videos do get more engagement, all right? But not to discount still putting still images up, okay? So don't go into a spin thinking I need to do all videos. Images work well, but yeah, videos do have that slightly higher engagement. And the next level of that is Facebook Live, have even a more higher engagement. Okay, give access to exclusive info and specials, and we'll break that down further, and be timely. All right, so if you've got a full house, as much as you can have on a Sunday afternoon, take a snap of it, pop it up on social media. All right, so you can obviously schedule posts, which we'll talk about, but having that real time content is really valuable. So why Facebook? So here's some stats. Here you go. Half of the country checks Facebook every day. 17 million people use it in Australia. There's your breakdown of male and female. Demographics, I'll guarantee the hotel down the road is on it. You can use it to promote events, food and drink specials. You can build a loyal online community. Customer service, super important for customer service. You can get key messages out. And even when your venue is shut, you can still communicate with your customers. So I'm probably telling you something you already know, but it just reiterates the importance of Facebook within your digital strategy. So here is some tips for best practice. All right, so the first one is consistency over frequency. Okay, so if you can consistently post each week to your Facebook, that's great, rather than doing, you might do 10 posts one week and then no posts the next week. So, and again, I know your time is valuable, but if you can set out how many posts a week you will do. So you might say, right, I'm going to be doing 4 posts a week, or 5 posts a week, or I might do 2 posts midweek and 3 posts on the weekend, whatever it may be. If you can consistently do that, that's great. Do your best to stick to that, and schedule in your content where you can. Have a call to action on posts if you're promoting bookings. So the one I use is called bit.ly.com. And what that is it takes your URL of your website, if people can book through your website. So it takes that URL and then it cuts it up into a small link. All right. Now that link then becomes trackable. So anytime someone clicks on that link, you can see what day of the week it was. Okay. So then you can track it back to what post you did to generate those clicks through to your website for booking. So yeah, this is great. And I love it because I can go back to clients and say, right, well, this post generated 50 clicks to your website. Okay, so you can start, actually measuring that real time, the value of those posts over to your website. So bit.ly.com, it's free to use. There's a paid version, but the free version is totally fine. And you can track who's clicking around your website. An action button. So Facebook enabled an action button, probably a couple of years ago now. So it's a big blue button that sits on the front of your Facebook page. All right, if you haven't enabled it already, please do. I think there's about 15 different choices you can enable it for. So in your industry, I'd have a book now button or a call now button, depending how you wish your customers to make bookings. Now, if you are getting a high number of DMs, and I understand that there could be bookings coming from email, there could be bookings coming from your phone call, there could be bookings coming via text if you've got your mobile phone number. There could be bookings coming from social media, Facebook and Instagram. So that's like 5 different areas that bookings are coming from, which can become quite messy, and then you can start missing those bookings. So have an automated message on your on your Facebook message. You can also have it on Instagram as well if they're direct messaging you. And it could be a message such as, thanks for your message. This inbox is not monitored. Could you please contact on this number between the hours of X and Y to make any bookings? All right. So obviously I would encourage you to keep on checking messages, but it just saves you having to sit there and type out, thanks for your, thanks for your inquiry, how many people, all that sort of stuff. You just take it over to the phone or take it over to your website. Photos of people get more engagement. So when you're thinking of content to post, if you've got people in your photos, then hands down they'll get more engagement than, perhaps a pot of beer or a glass of bubbles, or depending what dish you've got up there. But where you've got people, absolutely put people in your photo on your social media. It just encourages them to, tag their friends or share it on their own Facebook page. So it spreads your content. Photos we've spoken about. So yeah, if you have got budget, professional photos, fabulous. Get a food styling photographer in, but smartphone can be just as good. Okay, so my advice is to, again, if you've got time, and I've done this with my two pubs, or one of them, is we picked about 8 different dishes that the chef cooked up, put them all on a big table, and then we took photos of all the dishes with drinks. Then I'd swap dishes in and out, and got heaps of content from that. And then I had a couple of friends who were there, and we ended up eating the food. So I've actually encouraged other businesses to say, invite your locals along for a bit of a lunchtime nibble after you've taken the photos. So obviously the food doesn't go to waste, and you're looking after your locals as well. So it doesn't take much to organise that. I think we bowled over in a couple of hours. We've talked about setting your tone. So set that tone. So think about, are you going to be fun? Are you going to be cheeky? What's that tone going to be? Now, scheduling posts is also super important. And it's a bit tricky in the hospitality industry, because obviously people are, they're coming in for lunch and dinner, but peak time on social media is generally at sort of night time. So it's generally sort of 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night is that peak time. So for your industry, I would suggest doing a lunchtime post, so it's sort of 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and then trial a either 5 o'clock post or an 8 o'clock post. So obviously a 5 o'clock post would be encouraging people to book in for dinner for that night, but an 8 o'clock post might be a general one that you're just saying, great food, blah, blah, that they can then book in for perhaps the next day or the week after. Scheduling, there's a scheduling tool within Facebook, so it's called Creator Studio. If you haven't used it, get familiar with it. It's a really good tool, and I've now ditched all my scheduling apps and subscriptions that I was paying good dollars for, and I just now use the scheduling tool within Facebook. So it's called Creator Studio, and I've just jotted down the steps on how to get to it on your desktop. All right, so this is desktop instructions. So Facebook page, left-hand side, click on Publishing Tools, and then on the left-hand side, click on Creator Studio. So Creator Studio allows you to schedule both Facebook and also Instagram content. You can schedule videos, which I love. Some of the scheduling tools I've previously used haven't enabled you to schedule video, particularly on Instagram. You can even schedule Instagram stories, I believe, on Creator Studio. I haven't used that feature yet. But yeah, Creator Studio is a really easy tool to use on your desktop. There is an app for it as well. But yeah, I sit down and do all my scheduling for clients on the desktop. The other app to use for Facebook, if you haven't already got it, is called Business Suite. So Business Suite. It was formerly called Pages Manager, and it had a little orange flag. It's now called Business Suite, and it's like a blue it's quite an odd logo. It's recently changed within the whole Facebook interface changing, which at the start I was not happy about it, but I don't mind the new interface now because I'm in it every day. I'm familiar with it, but if you're not in it every day, can be a bit of a jungle to get around. So do some practice on your desktop navigating around social media. Navigating around Facebook. So one thing, and I'm not sure if I put it in this presentation or not, another tool to use for Facebook and also Instagram is called Canva. That's Canva. If you haven't already got it, it's again on desktop. There is an app for it as well, but that's anything you want to design for social media in terms of graphic design can be found in Canva. So it's free to use, or there is a paid version. I think it's $13 a month, but you can get away with a free version. It's fantastic, and I hope everyone is already on it. If you're not on it, jump on it today again, just get familiar with Canva. It takes a little while to get used to. I know I've looked back at some of my creations I did 6 years ago. I was like, oh, but the more time you spend in it, the easier it is to navigate around. So Instagram is probably at the moment my favorite social media platform, and I do swap and change. But yeah, Instagram at the moment, I'm doing a bit of work with influencers. So I am, loving Instagram at the moment. So Instagram is all about visual, okay? It's all about visual, and it's all about shopping online, okay? So you might think, well, why would people want to use it in the hospitality industry? Think of the visuals that you can create. And I would say too that a lot of people, especially in the 18 to 35-year-olds, they're going out to your venue, they're doing Instagram stories, okay, as opposed to uploading a photo on Facebook. So Instagram is all about the visual, and Instagram stories only were released about 18 months ago, and they've really taken off, which we'll touch on those. So Instagram people are shoppers, okay? So when I say shoppers, so they're influenced by influencers. So, you know, it might be someone has eaten at your venue and they do a photo of them at your venue, then that is going to trigger something in someone who's following them to go, I actually want to eat at that venue now. And we do talk a little bit about influencers. They look at food, okay? So if you're on Instagram, your business on Instagram, and if someone's looking at your Instagram, if you've got visuals of your quality of your food, you might have some cool cocktails or, you know, a cool new sour beer on tap, people are going to be drawn to that, okay? So that you'll convert them simply by your visuals, all right? You don't have to, you know, do a big song and dance about them, but if you've got great visuals, then that will entice them. There's a really cool restaurant in Sydney, Catalina, I think it's called. A lot of the influencers that I follow go there, and they always have beautiful, clean, crisp images of their food, of their awesome cocktails, and it's really simple. It's nothing, you know, complicated. It's just nice, simple images that are nice and light, and they just, make you want to jump on a plane and go up to Sydney. So it is all about that. You know, people eat with their eyes. So, and I don't have to tell you that, but on through their phone, you want to give them the best image possible with a bit of commentary behind that. So I'm really big on in hospitality is in describing what actually that food is. So popping a photo of the food and describing what is in that dish. So what's on the menu. So best practices for Instagram. Use up to 30 hashtags. So hashtags are used to, they're a type of, you do a search on a hashtag, all right? So hashtag Bendigo pub, hashtag Ballarat pub, hashtag, I think Bendigo food, hashtag Bendigo food drink. So look at, in your local area on Instagram, start looking up different hashtags. So start simply typing in words that are relevant to your area. So, for example, Castlemaine, hashtag Castlemaine. So start typing in what's relevant to your business, and even look at other local businesses and see what hashtags they are using. All right. So I do encourage you to use up to those 30 hashtags because it helps your content become more discoverable. All right. And you'll soon be able, 30 hashtags sounds like a lot, but you will soon be able to get to 30 hashtags with no problems at all. Look at your local tourism centre. What hashtags are they using? I know Bendigo obviously is Explore Bendigo. I think it's got over 100,000 photos attached to that. There's Bendigo Eat, Shop, Drink, I think it is. But the Bendigo Explore Bendigo tourism Instagram page has a lot on there. So look at what geographic local hashtags there are. And then look at what hashtags are relevant to your industry as well. So hashtag beer. I know I've got followers we did one for the pub, say it was hashtag 10T, was it 10OTW, which is one off the wood. So we got a couple of new followers from that hashtag because you can also follow hashtags. So if you're using a hashtag that's popular, that people are following, then your content may pop up in their newsfeed. If I take it just one step back too, in terms of the algorithm for social media, so just because you have, say, 1,000 followers, it doesn't mean your 1,000 followers are going to see your content. So as a rule of thumb, about 1 to 4% of your audience will see your content. So don't be too disheartened by that, because I do see it reach more people. But yeah, on average, Facebook, say around 1 to 4% of your audience will see your content. So how the algorithm works is anytime you put content, so no, I'll do it from a consumer point of view. Anytime that I jump on Facebook just to have a look what's going on, Facebook look at what time of the day it is. They look at where I'm located. They look at the bandwidth that's available for me. They look at who has posted since I was last on Facebook. They look at what business pages I follow have posted. They look at what friends have been tagged, what friends have commented. So there's actually a great documentary on Netflix. I haven't watched all of it, but I've watched half of it. It's called The Social Dilemma, and it's quite confronting, actually. If anyone's watched it, let me know in the chat box. But this particular documentary breaks down how the algorithm works, and they interview ex-engineers that worked at Facebook and Instagram and Google. So it gives you a bit of an understanding of how to understand what content you're going to be fed. So on average, every day we're exposed up to 1,500 pieces of content. And I know Facebook in particular, they squash it down to around 250 pieces of content. So as a business page, your challenge is to make sure you get into that 250 pieces of content to pop into your community's news feed. So we talk about beating the algorithm all the time. So that being consistent, producing content that's going to spark engagement. So the more people that comment, the more people that like, and the more people that share, the further your content will reach. So when you publish a piece of content, so you put it out there, and that first hour that it goes live is a really critical part, because Facebook look at how much engagement it has in that first hour. If you're getting good engagement, they send it out to more people within Facebook. Okay, so they initially send it out to a sample group. All right, so it's really important to get that engagement, and that's why you see competitions and giveaways go off, because obviously you're giving away something, but because you're pretty much asking them to engage, because they have to like it, they have to share it, and they have to comment on it. So yeah, so in competitions, I love them and hate them at the same time, because they attract tire kickers. But on the flip side, they also build your community. But I do question, are they building the right community? So because the more people you have, so say you got 10,000 followers, but maybe only 5,000 of them are actually genuine people, then you've got to try and sift through that other 5,000 to get to your genuine 5,000. So yeah, I still run competitions and giveaways for customers. But I always make sure the giveaway is relevant and that it's relatively easy for them to enter. All right, so with one customer, we do a giveaway probably once a month, not in the hotel industry, but we do a subscription once a month. So, and you always pick up new followers. Okay, so there's no doubt about that. You pick up new followers, you do generate that brand awareness. For another pub in Bendigo, we were doing so we were calling out for tank beer testers. So this particular pub has tank beer. So this is just pre-COVID, of course. So once a week, we'd put the call out to say, who wants to be our tank beer tester this week? And all they had to do was, I think they had to just comment, or tag their buddy. And then once a week, we'd get somebody in, and they'd come into the pub. They'd get a free schooner. And then we'd take a photo of them, and we'd get their feedback on how they like the tank beer. So there was a couple of strategic reasons to do that. One was for brand awareness and to get more followers, and the second one was to promote tank beer. Okay, so and again, photo was taken with the person in it, and people would then say, "Oh, g'day, Robbo," or comment on that. So yeah, if you are going to do a giveaway, make sure it is a relevant giveaway that's going to generate, new followers and also that brand awareness. Getting back to Instagram. So hashtags, super important. One thing to do is so you're not having to manually type in your hashtags all the time, is to save them in your notes on your computer. So save them in your notes or save them on your phone is another option, so you can copy and paste. Instagram don't like it when you use the same hashtags all the time. So I would recommend, swapping out a couple and putting in a couple of extras. Daily stories if possible. So stories are they're just a really hot area of Instagram, especially in that 18 to 35. So even older, I'd say. But as a general rule of thumb, 50% of content sits on your grid, 50% sits on your stories. Stories are a piece of content that lasts for 24 hours. All right, so they go up on Instagram, and then they disappear after 24 hours. So again, really good if you've got an event on. I know Jamie at the Belmont does Instagram stories when there's something going on, and I get a bit of FOMO when I see her, Instagram stories of live music on a Sunday when I've got kids at home. So so again, create that FOMO for people. Or even like when I saw Jamie's post on Instagram on the stories, I'm like, I didn't know they did live music on a Sunday. Great, next time I have got a free Sunday, I'll go there or I'll ring up to make sure they got live music. So anything that's going on in the business, put it up on social media. The next couple of slides we'll break down that content. Another best practice for Instagram is tag your location and tag other businesses if relevant. All right, so when you do your post, there's a section there to tag your location to do that. Set out a theme, and again, we'll go through that in the next couple of slides. Be social with other accounts, especially on Instagram. So be social with other businesses in your area. So follow other businesses, all walks of life, I'm talking. My rule on Instagram is you can follow private accounts. Sorry, totally contrary to what I was about to say. You can follow people on Instagram, but I don't follow private accounts. So if someone's a private account, as a business, I don't follow them. But if they've got a public account, that's okay to follow. And then, as I said, be social. So comment on other people's posts. That's like I have created a business from being social on social media. There's a motel in Bendigo that I follow, and every now and then I was popping on and commenting on her posts. Didn't know her from a bar of soap, and we just built up this rapport. And then in the end, she ended up coming to about 3 of my social media workshops as a paying customer. So that was a completely organic relationship. It just started by me being authentic and just like commenting, and because she did some great content that made me feel compelled to comment on her content. So yeah, be social. Set aside maybe 10 minutes if you can. Might be 10 minutes in the morning before you get out of bed. Grab your phone if it's in your bedroom, and just jump on Instagram and look at who you follow and start commenting on their posts, or go to specific pages and comment. I mentioned Canva just before. Good, I'm glad I put that in the presentation. Another section, and influencers are a whole other section of social media, but influencers can also drive business. And again, I've tried to, if you don't understand influencers, you probably don't see the value of them. But if you can reach out to an influencer in your town, so I know there's probably, I would say, 4 to 5 influencers in Bendigo. So an influencer is someone that's got about, I'll call them micro influencers actually. So somewhere between sort of 5,000 and 20,000 followers. They're considered a micro influencer. Anyone over that is a macro influencer. So if you know of a influencer in your town, then why don't you invite them into your pub hotel for a meal and ask them to do a post on social media about them. If you don't have influencers in your town, then you might work with your local tourism committee and collaborate with them to target an influencer that's in Melbourne. Okay, so it might be that you package up a weekend away for them. So they come up from Melbourne, there's an accommodation venue that puts them up. Your pub/hotel has them in for lunch or dinner, and then they might go on and do an experience within that town or just out of that town. Bendigo Tourism do it. So they've had influencers in Bendigo before, and they've had probably 6 or 7 local businesses that are tourism members that host them for that weekend. And that influencer will post all about it on their social media. I know, and I don't know if it was a paid thing, but Beck Judd recently went up to Echuca on a houseboat, and she posted it. When I say recently, it was January. She posted it on her Instagram. And I was like, I wonder if she's been given a free weekend on the houseboat or if she's actually a genuine customer. But awesome exposure, considering she's got 800,000 followers on Instagram. Awesome exposure for that Echuca houseboat company. So if you are curious about the whole influencer world and you are doing the 2 hours mentoring, then happy to do a deeper dive in that, because there is a bit of a strategy to, reach out to that influencer. First of all, to find the influencer, reach out to them, and then put together a package for them. So yeah, influencers they can really change a business, and I see it all the time. There's a clothing label in Geelong called Series Life. They're part of Cotton On, and they use Emma Hawkins, who's married to Tom Hawkins. She's a businesswoman in her own right, and so they use her to showcase their clothing. And on any given day, she will sell out. If she's posted about a dress, she'll sell out that dress. And I won't share the figures with you, but yeah, they're outstanding, like amazing. She is a paid influencer, so they pay her around $2,000 to do one post, but the money that generates from that post is it's well worth it. The next best practice is create your own hashtag. Okay, so it might be just the name of your pub, or the name of your hotel. So just have your hashtag. Put it on your menus. Put your Instagram handle on your menu and your social media. So it's quite common practice now to go into a venue or even a clothing store, and they'll have a little, if it's on their menu, they have a little box saying, we'd love to, share the love for a hotel. Here's our Facebook, here's our Instagram handle, here's our hashtag. So make it easy for people and people who are social media savvy, especially people who like to sort of put their highlight reel up, they will want to share photos of your venue on social media, and they'll want to know what hashtags to use, okay, so that then you can go and share it. I did an Instagram story last week when I was at the piano bar, and I tagged them in, and the next minute they shared their story to their Instagram, to their stories as well. So again, that was branding for me. Not that I did it for that, but they shared it, and it came from my own Instagram page. Share user-generated content. So user-generated content, we call it UGC. So that is whereby if someone on Instagram has tagged your business, so they put a photo up and they've tagged your business, so you will get a notification for that. So it'll say such and such has mentioned you, and then you have the ability to share that. Okay, so you can either share it straight to your Instagram stories, or you can take a screenshot of it and share it over to your Instagram, back onto your Instagram. Best practice again is to comment underneath and say, hey, great having you guys in. Would you mind if we share this to our social media? Okay, so I'd say 99% of the time they will come back with a positive response. A way to find if you haven't been sort of monitoring Instagram, a way to find if anyone has tagged you is go to Instagram, and then I'm just going to go to mine now. Hang on. So you'll have your grid, which sits up. You have your grid next to the little grid image. You'll have a little sort of profile picture. If you click on that profile picture, it's like a little head in a frame. That will bring you to photos that your business has been tagged in. Okay, another way to search if your business has been tagged is if you just do a search in the search bar and type in your business name and look under places, you'll be able to see who has tagged your business location in a photo. Even if they haven't mentioned your business name in the text or tagged your business name, if they've mentioned your location, you will still be able to see that image and potentially use that image as well. So there's lots you can do with user-generated content. I know Crown Casino did a big campaign, I think it was last year, encouraging people to share their photos on Instagram in order to win a prize. All right, so that's another way to encourage people to share if they're at your venue. Upload a photo and go in the draw to win a XYZ. Okay, so now I'm going to go to some different hotels and pubs and suppliers that are doing some really good things on Instagram. On social media. Now, this is mainly Facebook, these ones are. Let me just have a quick drink. Now, obviously, I don't have, I can't see how their social media is performing in terms of generating revenue, but all I can see is their engagement. So I can see if they're producing posts that having a high engagement level. So the first one is Thirsty Camel. Some of you may be affiliated with Thirsty Camel. So if you are, they've got some really good marketing resources. So they do a mixture of promoting their products. They do a mixture of videos and also some funny jokes and memes. So they keep it really lighthearted. And that's the thing, if your industry, you've got you've got so much scope to have fun with your industry. Carlton Draft, I have to say, produce some of the funniest content. So they know their audience. Take some time today if you haven't already jump on their Facebook page. I would say the last sort of, especially during lockdown and when we came out of lockdown, particularly in the city, they just produced some really witty posts and they were getting huge engagement. So I love the banter that they have on their social media. So a local one, and this is more of I'd say a restaurant. I think they position themselves as a speak easy bar as well. Miss Batterham's in Bendigo. They opened up just at the start of Feb, so just before COVID. They have a really good example of professional images. Okay, you'll get a bit of a feel for that on their Instagram. They use some really nice professional images. But they also, during lockdown, and they absolutely nailed this, they used Facebook Live. So obviously they shut their doors pretty much, I think, 2 weeks after opening. And then they sort of scrambled and they got their takeaway menu sorted. But before they were doing that, every Friday night, they would do a Facebook Live and they would have a theme. So it was 5 o'clock on a Friday, so knock-off drinks, so people who were working from home could tune to their Facebook Live and they would go through how to make a particular cocktail. So prior to the Facebook Live, they did a post, like an event post, and they'd say, join us on Friday. We're going to go show you how to make espresso martinis or margaritas or whatever it was. And then they would jump on. They were on their Facebook Lives would go for about an hour, and they would just have conversations with their community, and they'd obviously then teach people how to make that particular cocktail. They'd dress up sometimes as well. But yeah, it was, and given everyone was, Friday knockoffs didn't look the same as they used to, but they were really connecting people with their audience through Facebook Live. And I only stumbled across them because I must have been on Facebook at the time, and because Facebook really likes Facebook Lives, it jumped into my newsfeed, and then I joined in and watched it. So if you've got any events, live music, I know Jamie does it on her stories, but if you can even stream 5-minute Facebook Live of your live music at your venue on the weekend. Fabulous. The sweet spot for Facebook Live is no less than sort of 5 minutes. So try and get to that 5-minute mark. Obviously, again, you've got to manage your time, but if you can get someone to stream or even just set your phone up on a tripod that you buy for $20 online or JB Hi-Fi, then you can, stream that what's happening in your venue and stream it live. I know other pubs they were doing live streamings of how to make particular dishes during lockdown as well. The Beach Hotel in Byron Bay, so they've got, I can when I was looking at their Facebook page, they've got a strategy. I know they've got a clear strategy, and so every Monday they do a post of Byron Bay. Every Tuesday they do, I can't remember what they do, but they do, it's all set out, and they have a good balance of user-generated content. So they're sharing what their patrons are sharing on their own social media. They've also got a really good mix of food, drinks, and staff and customers. So there's lots of faces in their on their Facebook posts, and they use the bit.ly link that I spoke about at the start of the session. They use that also on their posts, so to drive people to their website to make a booking. Belmont Hotel, Jamie. So Jamie has a really good, Jamie has identified what her audience likes and has also identified the tone of the Belmont Hotel. So she used some really good memes and jokes to connect with the audience and to spark engagement. And I think that all came out of COVID when Jamie was just putting up, some funny memes that were coming out of COVID and pubs being shut down. And then she found that her locals they felt connected to the pub still. And so they were, engaging with her content and really going to her page to have that type of connection. And I know Jamie's continued it on. So, yeah, I know if you go to Jamie's page of Belmont Hotel, you always get a giggle out of that. Daily Waters Pubs, they're another pub in Northern Territory. They're obviously a tourist pub. I've actually poured a pot behind the bar there before, about 10 years ago. So they, again, have a really good balance of that memes and jokes. So they know their audience. They also do a bit of like local wildlife images, but the posts that work the best are the funny jokes and funny memes. So they know their audience. They know their own identity as well. Portsea Hotel makes me just want to go there every weekend. And again, summer, I think they've really nailed their summer experience. So if you go to their Facebook page, you'll see their images are really light. They've got professional images and they sell an experience. All right. So the photos that they put up make me just want to go there and hang out. I don't care if the food or the beer's crap. I just want to go there and hang out because it looks really cool and it's all about that summer vibe. So that's the strategy they're going with. So take a screenshot of this photo. Of this photo of this screen and go to these pubs and have a look at how they're executing their social media strategy. So these are on Facebook, these ones, also on Instagram, but this particular strategy is for Facebook. So now we're going to dive into developing a content strategy. So again, it could be something that you do with your staff, or it could be something that you do with someone who is completely an outsider of your business. So you might get a trusted local, or you might get a friend. Okay, so it is always good to have an extra set of eyeballs that is not in your business, because you guys are in your business. You're entrenched in your business. You see it from a different lens. So if you get someone in that's on the outside, they're going to be seeing it from a consumer lens. So here is 10 different content pillars that you could use to incorporate with your social media strategy. So the first one, obviously, is your hero, is your product, is your food and drink. I'd also say in there /venue as well. People like to see where they're going to if they haven't been there before, particularly people from out of town. So pop in, look at your food and your drink and your venue. Look at if you're doing any offers, okay? So do you do a special on a Monday night or a special on a Tuesday night, whatever it is, make sure that you are really plugging that on social media. And again, I've done this with a pub pre-COVID. We did a special on a Saturday night. I think it was kids ate for free if you came in before 6 o'clock, or if you came in at 6 o'clock, or whatever it was. And the amount of people that tagged people going, we'll have to go here together. And it was just an organic post, but it got people talking because it was an offer. Behind the scenes, people love what's going on behind the scenes. All right. They love knowing that, if you've painted a wall, they love knowing, you might do a time lapse of you setting up the pub ready for, lunchtime or whatever it may be. Behind the scenes, I call it the Kim Kardashian syndrome. People actually care what's going on in your life, or in your business life. So you might have a delivery of, alcohol that's just arrived, or you might be doing some training with the staff. So take people behind the scenes of that as well. Jokes, memes, and banter work really well within your industry, just depending on how you're positioned in terms of your clientele. But I see it all the time that they work really, really well. So surf the internet, do some searching around on other pages to see what they've used, and then you can create your own meme. You can either share a meme if you found it, or you can create your own meme and brand it in Canva. Right, you can put your own logo on that. I prefer that method because if someone is going to share that meme, it's got your own logo on it. It's got your own pub brand on there. User-generated content. We've spoken about that before, and yeah, a way to encourage that is if you might run a giveaway for the month of January, for example, to drive some more business, and people have to upload a photo of them at your venue in order to win XYZ. Personal posts, again, people care what you're doing, what the pub owners, what the publicans are doing. If you're camera shy, that's totally fine. Get your kids involved. No, getting your face in front of camera is not for everyone, so I'm not going to encourage you to do something you don't want to do. However, I do know that if you have your face in a photo, or you've got your manager's face in a photo, that it will generate more business because people will feel more connected. Particularly if you've won an award, business award or something with AHA awards, promote that. People like seeing people, especially the publicans or the manager, in photos. And when I say personal post, call out names as well. Like if you've got your manager in and they're doing something, make sure you put a name to that face. Another popular one is national days. So when I'm saying national days, I'm talking Australia Day, I'm talking Anzac Day. I don't tend to do anything myself on social media, I just out of respect. So up to you if you want to do something there. But think of all the national days that we've got and plug them into your social media calendar, which we'll speak about in a moment. Even staff. So if there's a staff member's birthday, or has the staff been at your venue for 12 months, or has a staff had a child, or is the staff getting married, include staff in your social media strategy if they're willing. Customers as well. I'm sure you've all got legendary customers and every one of them would have a story to tell. So again, if you've got willing customers, absolutely take photos. I know for a venue in town, we had a group of ladies that must have met, it wasn't the other day, I reckon it was 12 months ago, they were in for their Christmas lunch. So we took a photo of them, and they're all local ladies that come to the pub often. So we upload a photo of the girls out for lunch. And always remember infotainment. Okay, so it's a bit of a word we use in social media. So it's a mixture of information and entertainment. All right, so we call it infotainment. So you're getting across a message, an informative message in an entertaining way, because people go to social media to be entertained, they go to social media to be educated, and they go to social media to feel connected. So if you can nail those three things in your social media strategy, you're doing well, and you'll see the results in your engagement. So I think this is nearly our last slide. This is talking about a content calendar. So your life will be a whole lot easier, and your social media and your digital presence journey will be a whole lot easier if you have a plan in place. All right. So if you have a social media, a content calendar. Now I develop my content calendars. I've just got a template on Excel spreadsheet. And I basically plug in. So I plug in all the national days first of all. So I'll even look at like if there's any beer appreciation days, or I know there's a website called nationaldays.com. It is an American website. They have days for everything you can imagine. They've got like pumpkin pie day. They've got Hug a Plumber Day. They've got all these different crazy days, but some of them are worldwide that you can leverage off as well. So I'm sure there would be a beer appreciation day. Have a look at that, do some research, and then plug those days in as a starting point to your content calendar. All right. Next thing you should plug in is what events are you having? So is it your Saturday, Sunday live music? Is it Saturday and Sunday you do all day food? So what's happening with you within your own business? Set up your library of Instagram, hashtags for Instagram, and don't set and forget. Okay, so don't just schedule your content in and then don't actually see how that's performing or engage with your community online, always make sure you're checking that content. The other part of your content calendar is obviously these themes here. Okay, so we'll be putting in right on Monday night, we're going to be putting, or Monday lunchtime, we're putting our offer of, it's hamburger, it's burger night, where you get a free pot, whatever it may be. On Thursday night, we're going to be doing our drink of the week. You'd obviously fluff it up to something more than that. Or on a Thursday night, we're going to get people geared up for the weekend because we've still got a few bookings available for that weekend. And then you might say on a Monday night or on a Tuesday night, we're going to say, right, it's going to be 40 degrees on a Tuesday. Let's encourage people to come into the pub where it's going to be cool. So we're going to put that on a Tuesday lunchtime. So if you've got that framework in place, you can obviously then add in ad hoc stuff as you go. But having that framework in place just maps it out to make sure you've got all your different pillars covered, but it also mixes up your content so you're not doing the same thing over and over again as well. Then the next step of that is to go back and check what performed well. All right, and so don't be too disheartened if a post performed really well 1 week and you did a similar post the next week and didn't perform well. Social media can be fickle. Your community can be fickle as well. All right, so the framework of your content calendar will just help you. Obviously, you've got to have that strategy in place, but it will help you to work towards your strategy and your overall objective, which is obviously to generate business. The last point I'll make is humanizing your brand. So people will connect with your brand more or on a better level if you are coming from a human personal point of view. So there's brands that do this really, really well. There's a coffee scrub exfoliator called Frank Bod. So it's a product, but they humanize the brand so well that you think you're actually talking to a person. So get into that practice of humanizing your brand. And best practice is map out a month's worth of content. So you might have a quarterly event schedule mapped out. So if you look towards next year, you've got Jan, Feb, March, depending on, numbers. I know it's a bit of a goalpost thing at the moment, but say things kick off as per normal in January. So if you start mapping out any events that you have for January, February, March, all right, and then map out the content that you have to go for January, okay? Schedule that content in. I do week by week. So I'd sit down at the start of the week on a Monday and schedule in the content for the whole week, all right? Again, time poor in your industry is not a 9 to 5 industry, so that's something that you'll have to work your way through yourself in terms of where you can allocate time, or you might allocate a staff member, whatever it may be. Try and set aside that time for your social media is really important, especially if it's your only form of advertising. All right, so if you're not doing radio, if you're not doing press or TV, you might not be doing any magazine or print. If social media is your only form, then you do need to invest in that time. The other element, which we didn't speak about today, was Facebook ads. So if you haven't done any ads, or if you're, particularly for events, if you've got a ticketed event at your venue, Facebook ads work really well to get it out to a wider audience, particularly, if you are trying to target Melbourne people up for a weekend, whatever it may be, spread it out. Facebook ads will make your content go further. And again, I would encourage you to book the mentoring sessions if you want to do a bit of a deeper dive into Facebook advertising. So, a mixture of organic posts and Facebook advertising. Another form of advertising is boosting a post. I'm sure many of you have seen that boost post button that you have on Facebook. You can boost a post for $10 into your local area. All right. So the general rule there is if you do a post and it's performing well, then you should boost it. If you're doing a post and it's not performing well, boosting it is not going to make it perform any better. All right. So putting money behind bad content is not going to turn it into good content. So I always give a post about 24 hours to see how it's tracking, and then I'll put money behind it then. So I think that's the end. Oh no, actually now, is this going to work? Nah. So bugger, I embedded this video into my presentation and thought I was being all fancy because it worked yesterday, but now it's just a still image. So I do apologise because it's a cracking video. So Bendigo, City Greater Bendigo, so a local shire, collaborated with venues around Bendigo, so mainly hospitality venues. And it wasn't me, but another agency in Bendigo, a media agency, recorded ads that ran on TV and also social media. So this particular ad was about 5 different local venues saying, our doors are back open again. We can't wait to have you back in. And it was fabulous, really nice, warm, fuzzy, all local people that people would recognise. And it worked really well. Like it was just a nice way to get people aware that, hey, there's people behind these venues that have been shut for X amount of months. And, I know talking to a couple of them, they really missed serving their customers. Like doing takeaway is one thing, but actually having people bums on seats and, people mingling at tables is a whole other thing. And that's what I'm sure a lot of your passion is seeing those friendly faces. So this, I'm sorry I can't show the video, but this was a great campaign called Love Your Local. And here is some examples of how you could actually execute this. Okay, so if anyone wants a copy of the video, I'm more than happy to send it to you. So have a think about how you could do something similar. You could either collaborate with other venues in your area, or you could just do it in-house. So if you're a town that perhaps attracts people from Melbourne, you could collaborate with other businesses in your area. So I'm thinking Castlemaine, for example. And was it Luke from Castlemaine? It was Luke. Yeah, Luke from Castlemaine. You could collaborate with other pubs, restaurants, cafes, wineries, whatever it may be, do a campaign and then do it as a paid ad into Melbourne. All right, you could even, I'm sure there's grant money floating around somewhere, or you could approach your local, the local council, local shire to see if they, or tourism, I should say, tourism to see if they would be interested in being involved in the campaign. The other thing you could do if you're doing it in-house is go around the pub one night to some of your regulars, pop your smartphone in front of their face and say, what did you miss about not being able to come to the pub or hotel? Get some little snippets and then create a short video for that. A video app I use is called InShot. It's INSHOT. It's a simple video editing app where you can add music, you can add text, and you can add clips together. It's sort of like iMovie, but I think it's even easier. So you could basically just, get some feedback right from the horse's mouth from your local punters. Kahuna Co on Instagram, if you look Kahuna Co up. So she has again, it's not hospitality, but she does this really well. She has a co-working space in Kahuna where people can come and rent an office space from her. And so every Friday, she does lunch with locals. So she goes around to a business in Kahuna and she does a 5 to 10 minute Facebook Live interview with them. All right, so I'm not saying you have to go and do live interviews with everyone, but if you could interview or just get some, get a quote, even if someone's not comfortable with being on camera, just get a quote or feedback that you can turn into a social media tile for your social media. So I think that comes to the end. Yes, it does. So that leaves us with about 20 minutes of questions. Now, I did have one here from Tony saying, how often do you repeat an offer on social media, say Pot and Palmer? Yeah, that's a really good question, Tony. So I say do it. So if you're doing Pot and Palmer on a particular night of the week, then I say once a week have that content up there. Because just because someone saw it 1 week doesn't mean they're going to see it the next week. So it's a bit of a numbers game. So so put that, you just have perhaps a different image or a different tile that you'd make up. Or you might even, I've done this for the pub I managed, I can't think what it was, but we did a joke. It was a joke relating to Palmer, and it went off. And then I did the comment for the post for the actual image was, the actual offer. but the image was a joke, and it just got people, it sparked interest, and then they read what the actual offer was about. So yeah, that might be your once a week content, is you put that in on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, whatever it may be, but just mix up the actual image. So don't just have the same image going up every single week. Hopefully that helps, answers your question, Tony. Any other questions or feedback or anything that you guys want to ask? Because I've done a lot of talking, so if there's any question to have, now's the opportunity. Or even if I get some feedback from you guys, what social media channels are you on? Tony, I will check on that. So I'm just going to just email Francesco, will you send a copy of the presentation out? I just asked. Who else have we got? Yeah, I'll just follow that up, Tony. I am confident that you will get a copy of that. So, but I'll just confirm it. So is anyone on, who's on Facebook, Instagram? I'll start stalking you if you don't answer me. I'll start looking you up. Or has anyone got any wins that they want to share within the group to say what's working well for you, perhaps? I know with the pub in Bendigo that I look after, that's been around for 100 years. So the owners have been in it for 60 years. So they've got some awesome photos of like back in the 70s. And anytime I put one of those photos up, they always get really, really good engagement. So, and a really good point of difference as well for them. So Jamie's on a Facebook, Instagram, website. Facebook, Instagram, and our website. Yep, that seems to be a bit of a common thread, I would say, in hospitality, is Facebook and Instagram and website. Do you want to give some feedback on what, yeah, Mike, thank you, Mike, on what, which platform, Facebook or Instagram, where do you get your most engagement and or bookings? Has anyone monitored that to see where? I would say with my two hotels that they get the most bookings through Facebook. I would definitely say Facebook is where people are seeing their content more and also making those bookings. And that could just be down to an age thing, is that more people are on Facebook anyway. That's a fact. Does anyone else want to share in the chat box any wins you've had? I'm just making for a group of 5 hotels. Awesome. I have you equal. Yeah. Bryony, welcome to my world. That's really tough. That is really tough. So managing a group of 5 hotels. So obviously they're all under the one group. It comes down to, are they all competing against each other? Like, I assume they're all under the one umbrella. I would say for you, it would come down to time management. And I know you've got to be, I don't know if you allocate time, a certain amount of time to each of them, but I would be saying that that's a fairly hectic. So you're going to know all different markets. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So in your, I don't know if in your contract, but if you've got allocated hours for each of those 5 hotels, so it would it be that you're doing 4 hours for this hotel per week, 4 hours this pub, 2 hours this pub. That would be my only way to recommend that. With the 2 hotels I manage, I do 4 hours for one and 2 hours for the other, and that purely came down to their budget. And I would say they've got different markets as well. So yeah, happy to have a chat off air, Brian, if you like as well. So Joel says mostly Facebook. Yep, I reckon that's a bit of a flavour. And where are you based again, Joel? I can't remember. You're in, I think you're Castlemaine, were you? Can't remember, but yeah, I feel like that's a bit of a flavour in the industry. Jamie, we want to know your local series of post during COVID where we scheduled one staff member each day with a picture of them so that patrons could remember our staff. Oh, that's awesome. That's really good. So if everyone can read Jamie's comment there about showcasing a staff member once a week during lockdown so that people could remember the staff's faces. And the staff and patrons love that. That's really good. I like that. And it's funny, like I always say, there's no right or wrong with social media. Like what you think may not work will go gangbusters, and then what you think will work, you might get crickets for. So always be trialing stuff. Be trialing, and the more you stand out, like the more sort of left of centre you are. And I think that's why the Belmont stands out, because they do have that, that I don't think any other pub is doing that strategy like the Belmont is. So yeah, so make yourself known. Like you've got to connect to your audience, and then they will come in. Once you've got that connection online, that's the first challenge. Once they've got that connection, then they will, come into your pub, your hotel. Another thing I didn't call out too was promoting your reviews. So if people give you reviews on Facebook or on Google, is then to create a nice Canva tile and promote that review on your social media channels, so you can brand it. It's just another way that you're getting those peer reviews out there to other peers as well, which is important. So it's not just yourself, not bragging, but talking about your own business. It's other people that have been in talking about your own business. Find who is a local food blogger in your area. So on Instagram in particular, I will guarantee that every town has a foodie that's set up an Instagram account that goes around venues in their local area and talks about food. So I'm just thinking who there is in Bendigo. There's quite a few in Bendigo. Their names escape me, but just do a search. If you're in wherever town you're in, Ballarat, Castlemaine, wherever you are, do a bit of a search to see if anyone on Instagram, to see if anyone's doing any food blogs that you could leverage off. Briana, how do you convince your client to open to something like Jamie has suggested? I mentioned I haven't had much support on the idea. So, Briana, give examples would be my biggest thing. Give examples of social media posts that other venues such as Jamie has done, because I know I've been in a similar position where you suggest things and people are like, oh, don't like it. But yeah, the strongest thing you could do there is to give examples of it. So show them on social media. And there you go. Oh, how good's that? So so Jamie sent messages to some of her local regulars to see if they would be part of our Get to Know Your Local campaign, and they all sent me some pictures which we use. So that's great. So yeah, Briana, I'd say examples, and it all comes back to that connection. It all comes back to connecting with other people. So connecting with your community via social media. So yeah, I think, and you know what, Brian, the other thing I would say is get them just to give you a chance to do it. And if it doesn't work, that's fine. But if it does work, it's proving your point that type of content does work. Look at Byron Bay Hotel, they use more staff images and customer images. But yeah, get them on site with some examples. What else have we got? And also just love to get your feedback in January. Do you guys see, because obviously different regions work differently. If you're a pub in, down at the beach, obviously you go off in January, but does anyone see that January traditionally tapers off because people generally are on holidays? Or do you see that people are still happy to bring their family in if they're sticking around? Obviously, I think this January will look slightly different compared to other years as well, because perhaps people won't be going away on their trip that they always go away to. But borders are opening, which is good. Well, if no one has got any other questions, or feedback, we might wrap it up. If Francesco is still online, so Francesco is from ASBAS. I'm not sure if he has to provide you guys with any feedback, but I'd say you will be emailed a feedback form. So just fill that out, please. It only takes a couple of minutes to fill out. And I will ensure that you guys get a copy of the presentation as well as the link to do the social media mentoring. And I do encourage you to do it because you just get so much out of it doing a deeper dive. It's 2 hours of power, or you get 4 hours of power, I should say. But yeah, you can really uncover some hidden gems that you might be missing out on your strategy that you've already got in place. Thanks for that feedback, Briana. Great. And yeah, I'll drop my email address in here. Hang on, let me just, if anyone wants to send to everybody. Here we go. I'll just drop my email address in, Briana. Oops. So I'm happy if anyone wants to contact me direct. Briana at Mingle Media. Oops, hang on. Yep, .com.au. It's pretty easy. Just Briana at minglemedia.com.au. Jot that down. And yeah, Jamie, thanks for that feedback, Jamie. We had a really good powwow, and I'm very proud of you, Jamie, because you did implement some of the stuff that we spoke about, which was great. And I definitely see, because I follow quite a few venues on social media, I always see the Belmont does pop up. So yeah, there you go. It's saying the feedback form needs to be completed. Okay, so there is a feedback form. If you don't fill it out, you will be contacted anyway, so that's fine. So yeah, thank you for your time, guys. I'm always happy that people take the time out of their day and out of their business to invest in social media, or even digital, because it is such a powerful tool. And yeah, there's no doubt about it, it generates revenue for your business. So thanks everyone for your time, and hopefully get to touch base with you all in the future. Take care, and now it's the 1st of December, so we can say Merry Christmas. Have a great Chrissy and take care. Bye, everyone.